So when I just do a quick Google search, right, and I say, who is Majora Carter? And it says American Herbal Revitalization Strategist, right? So we could get into what that means in simple terms, right? Because that sounds like a lot that many people may not understand, but you've done amazing work in this community that you grew up in, Hunts Point, Bronx, New York. And so also, you founded and led the nonprofit Environmental Justice Solutions Corporation Sustainable South Bronx. You've won many awards. Again, I think it's so many achievements that I may even miss some. You also, you launched innovative ventures like Boogie Down Grind, which is your cafe, which is many people love.
Yes.
And so you also have, how many honorary PhDs do you have?
I don't know, 8, maybe 9, something like that. I don't know.
Okay, so yeah.
I'm just grateful for any of them.
Overall an overachiever, right? So like let us know too in some detail, I guess maybe some things I even missed. Feel free to brag and let people know just how amazing you are. And so what are some things that most people don't know about Majora Carter?
I don't know how many don't know, but I hope that people know I'm first and foremost a child of God. And that's to whom all this is for. And then to my people, which is my community, people of color worldwide, and that my real goal as a urban revitalization strategist is to show that our community, we can prove out a model actually, that we don't have to move out of our neighborhoods to live in better ones through really responsible, innovative, exquisite designed projects that make people feel great about where they are. That's what I want people to know.
And so for people who grew up in I guess underdeveloped communities, so some of the things you built a park, you helped establish a park, it's actually on a waterbed. Is that
a waterfront? Yeah.
A waterfront, and there's literally kayaks going by, of people on kayaks because of get in more detail about that and how you made that happen, and so people get understanding.
First and foremost, I think that these communities are not underdeveloped at all. They were developed by design to be the kind of places that don't make people in our community feel good about being in them. They were literally designed, just keep in mind the kind of historic inequities that have been happening in poor communities of color, like since 1619, when the first, Africans were brought to the shores to work and build this country into what it is today. There was always, the issue that the communities in which we were engaged in, whether they were, people, first starting with Africans, even before that, starting with the Native Americans who were here before us, and then the Africans that came, and then the poor, white folks who were also brought in from various European countries to help build this area. There was never historically, any real interest in supporting the quality of life economically, socially, environmentally, or otherwise for those people. So that's where we are. So, and just to place it in that context. So, of course, a place like the South Bronx in New York City, which is often considered and talked about as literally one of the poorest congressional districts in the country. So, and if that's the way we have always been thought of, there's a reason for that. So don't get it twisted. Folks are making money off of communities like ours. It's just not the people that are in them. So the development that happens here, whether it's the fact that we've got more healthcare clinics in our community, that we have places to hang out, like cafes and bars and restaurants and things of that nature, the places that we know people want to go to. We have more just very low income affordable housing. So we're not trying to acknowledge the fact that there are folks that are not in the poorest income bands and they need housing too. They're not trying to create the kind of things that ultimately bring health and prosperity to our own communities. So those are the kind of things that we're trying to build. Whether it's recognizing that third spaces, like places, and just to give you an example, those urban planning, the parlance third space is a place that's neither work nor home, but allows these places those are the places that allow community and people in those communities to connect and build other things. And they could be building businesses together, they could be building lives together. I'll give you an example, our little cafe. folks have literally found businesses, found partners to build businesses, found booze to hook up with, and now they're parents. And it's it's like, it's all of that and then some, because people, if we don't have those spaces, people just walk by each other on the street not knowing that they could be their next best thing. And
so
we don't have those in our communities, and so we're constantly trying to build them, despite the fact that there's plenty of folks who believe that all we need is just, like another social program for just, to manage the poverty that's here, not to fix it. Ain't nobody trying to really fix poverty here.
Because it's more profitable to some to keep it the way it is.
People aren't developers are not building, affordable housing for super poor people because they like poor people. They're doing it because there's a lot of money involved in it.
Yeah.
Okay, facts.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that all of them are like disgusting people, many of them are, but but some of them actually really believe that this is the thing. But if the net result, of development projects in our community is simply to concentrate poverty, which is what happens when you only build extremely low income affordable housing in one place, and you only build the kind of services that those folks need, and you're not building the kind of thing that actually inspire people to think about their community in a positive light. What you're doing, like statistically, what you also do is you exacerbate all of the social issues that everybody says they're trying to avoid. Everything from poor health outcomes, low educational attainment, higher rates of people involved in the justice system. Like, these are all stats, they're data that we could support all that with. And so, I get kind of pissed off when I hear it's just like, oh, you're building for a community that, just to bring in people. And it's just like, why you think so lowly of your own community? It's like, we have amazing people, creatives, artists, and I'm not saying obviously low income people can't be, because technically I am very low income, straight up. But I'm not saying that they're not the creatives, the writers, the people who are doing really amazing work. Of course they are, but we're not giving people any reason to stay in the community and build their next best selves in these communities, as Oprah would say. You want to live in your best life? We're not designing our communities for anybody to live their best life.
I also too want to know, because that's very unique and rare of someone who's, as educated, as established, as accomplished as you, to want to even build these communities up. So was there an experience or like a string of experiences that happened maybe during your childhood that made you say to yourself, like, when I make it, I'm gonna make sure this place evolves with me?
No, absolutely not. But I was led to believe, like many young kids who were the talented ones, like I went to gifted and talented classes, like the talented ones that are identified early, whether it's academically or artistically or athletically. Those are the ones that are essentially, everybody tells us, oh, you're gonna grow up and get out of here. So no. When I was a kid, my brother was killed not too far from here because of the drug wars, or I saw many folks, being, subsumed by the drug trade, all that stuff. Or I just read in the newspapers that my neighborhood was literally the poster child for everything wrong in America. Of course not. Why would I want to be here? I was literally being told that there is nothing of value in here, and you stay in here, you will be of no value either. And we're still telling our people that. That's why our approach to community development is more of a talent retention strategy. Like we know the Bronx has always been creating it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So we know artistically, creatively, athletically, educationally, we got some really smart, amazing people coming from our borough. We have a problem with keeping them here so that they're taking their time, talent, and treasure and reinvesting it in our own community. Instead, we take it to somebody else's. So that was my plan as a kid. And again, like many young people in these communities now, you grow up and you get out of here. Measure your success by how far you leave. And I'm like, and so no, I didn't want to come back here. I used education to get my butt out of here, and I did. And I only came back because I was broke and needed a cheap place to stay when I got into NYU. And my parents, my former bedroom in my parents' house, right on Menida Street, was the cheapest place I could find, and I'm grateful that they let me stay. But no, I was not trying to be here. It was only when I discovered, you know, through, and it was that distance, but also being back here when our city and state decided that they were going to build another huge waste facility on our waterfront. And I was just like, wait, you know, and because I had been away for so long and didn't like, or rather didn't spend that much time thinking about what was happening here, if I'm truthfully, just, I was like, whatever, that what happens over in Hunts Point. I'm only going back because my mother makes such really good fried chicken. So I ain't gonna lie, but it was so crazy to hear about that, and the fact that we already, as this little tiny community, handled an enormous amount of the city's waste infrastructure, and I just saw it like crystal clear as day. I was like, oh, it's because we're a poor community of color, politically vulnerable, that this kind of stuff has been happening to us for decades. And I was like, oh, hell no. Like and I don't think anybody would have blamed me if I had done like many folks had done it, just like, I'm gonna get on out of here. Actually, people would have encouraged it, and they do, and they did encourage it, and I think that's out of love. It's really, I'm not trying to throw any shade on anybody who doesn't stick around, but because we've been taught to believe that that's what we're supposed to do, right? So I can't blame them. But when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I could go, or I could decide I want to stick around and use my crazy talents to support my community.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I know what I was doing, but I figured I'll try, and we'll see what happens.
So I'm sure politically, right, there's people like you who are pro the people, right, for economic stability and growth and prosperity, and then there's those who act against that initiative, and that's their position, the stance they take on keeping things, perpetuating poverty. So like, how have you been able to navigate that world? Because you've got things changed.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've had like opposition at some point. How do you navigate that world and still get things done?
I've had opposition at every point, literally every point, and I'm still having it. But that's why, ever for the grace of God go I. It's all about, sticking at it and honestly praying real hard that I can actually physically, mentally, and emotionally and financially keep doing it. Because there isn't, honestly, the kind of attacks that we get are like, oh, she's promoting gentrification, or, she's trying to do this, make money for herself. It was just like, if folks understood how little money I have because I do this thing, again, I said I'm technically poor, if I really am. I actually did the math the other day. I was like, oh my God, we're in the 40th, 40% AMI, which means our family is considered damn broke. And I'm like, okay. And fortunately, the only good thing going for us is that, I squatted a building many years ago when nobody wanted any property here in the South Bronx. And I'd encourage other people to do the same. Nobody believed me because I think in many cases, some folks really believed that our neighborhood had no value and they wouldn't even squat stuff.
Wow. How long? You have to squat for like what, 10 or 20 years to make it?
I squatted the house I squatted that and or my family literally started squatting it technically in like 1984.
Wow.
I didn't, actually make it legal until it turns out I moved in like 1997. I didn't make it legal till like almost 2004.
Wow. And that's, you said people weren't even, it was so bad they wouldn't even squat.
Well, they thought it was so bad. It wasn't that bad. I mean, that's the thing. It's like our community had so much beautiful things going for it. Like that's what really prompted me, when I heard that the city wanted to build another waste facility here. I was just like, well, wait, we already handle all this stuff and you want to do more. Now that would add insult to injury a lot. And we're already working on amazing things in this community. There are amazing people here. And why is this, like when you think about our community, only thing you could think about is pouring more trash on us. I was offended by that, straight up offended. And because I got to see my community in a way that I hadn't seen it before. And I was just like, not on my watch. Like, that ain't gonna happen.
When you left here initially, you went to NYU?
No, I went to Wesleyan University for my undergraduate degree, and then couch surfed for many years. Lived with my sister like up in like a nicer part of the Bronx, and then I ended up moving back here when I started graduate school.
So would you say the education was more pivotal in your perspective, like expanding your awareness and your exposure?
It was both education, and being away for a little while, and then coming back and seeing that, and connecting some of the dots around what folks were actually doing and the experiences they were living on the ground, and what they were trying to build here, and what our city and state kept trying to do to us. And it was just like, oh, I'm not about that life. And
What I wanted to say was like, so competence brings confidence, right? And so I think a lot of people sometimes
sometimes we can be real confident for no good reason. And that could also be good, being from the sort of ready, fire, aim school of development that I am clearly a part of.
But to make these changes, I know many people recognize things need to change, but may feel like, well, I don't know enough, or I'm not competent, or they feel a little insecure because of their knowledge base and whether or not they were exposed to these even options, like, oh, I can do this. So I don't know, maybe you could share with someone, like, how would someone go about, or like maybe what to study in schools, or like to be a urban revitalizationalist? How would that?
Listen, I have absolutely no background in anything I do, and I feel, unfortunately, sometimes it shows, and folks will have exploited that over time, from every sector. So my thinking when I talk to young people in particular is just like, y'all need to get business degrees. Like, you need to figure out how to get money into these communities. Like, I don't give a crap. I mean, I'm sorry, there will be, folks talking about social services, and yes, get your sociology degree if you want, but ultimately it is about understanding capital markets and finance, and making and some history, so that we can understand the crap that's been done to us has literally been designed by so much of the economic policy that's been put in place. We need to make sure that we're building businesses in our community, supporting people to make sure that happens. And remembering our history. It's not like, everybody hates capitalism, and I get it. I understand. But the same capitalism that literally gave us that crazy, peculiar institution of slavery also gave us Black Wall Streets, which we like to forget which we often forget actually happened. And it was designed on purpose to bury that history, because if, like, oh my God, Black folks can't do that. No, Black folks did that, and then y'all bombed us from the sky, literally, because you couldn't believe that Black folks did that with using the same tools of capitalism that you used to enslave us.
And now the bombing is much more subtle, in a sense, through other policies.
Subtle. And I don't even know if it's that subtle. I don't even think it's that subtle. I honestly feel like so many of us have bought into this idea that our communities, we need more help rather than actual assets. I'm like, nah, we need to be building assets.
Ownership.
I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? But I talk about money a lot because that's what we're missing, because that's what helped build the American dream for every other group that has it. And it's why, in particular, Black folks, are still at a really, we are at the lowest end of everything. And you can't say that is not done on purpose. Like, you can't look at it across every sector and go, whether it's health or, education, unless it was done deliberately. I mean, so I find that really curious. And I think, if at the end of the game, it's about what we've not been able to produce in our communities, then let's figure out how to produce those things in our communities and be those folks to make it happen.
How long have you had Boogie Down Grind Cafe?
We started in 2016. We were actually a part of the Birch Coffee. We started a coffee shop with Birch Coffee back in 2016. And then, so for 6 months, We were this beautiful, South Bronx outpost of Birch Coffee, and then it was in January. We actually launched Boogie Down Grind on Martin Luther King Jr.'s actual birthday, wow. January 15th in 2017, because we wanted to like look at the idea of economic empowerment, which is something that he was really focusing on, before he was assassinated, and that folks forget. It's like, yes, he was just always about racial justice, but he was also about economic justice, and I personally think that's why he got killed. So there you go.
Because money is how you make real change, like you were saying.
Yep.
Reminds me of Marcus Garvey a little bit too, like very financial driven.
Yep, very much so.
And so so business ownership. So even you having a cafe, was that your first, would you say, physical business you've owned?
No, I consider the nonprofit that we started, Sustainable South Bronx, because we designed, economic, both environmental, economic justice solutions, and so I consider the fact that we started a green collar job training and placement system so that people would understand of both a personal and a financial stake in improving the environment, and we got people hired, in various types of jobs. So, but we also started a green roof and cool roof installation company while I was at Sustainable South Bronx, and that also because we were able to hire folks that went through our training program to install, this sustainable building model called Green and Cool Roof, which like substantially reduced the amount of stormwater that went into our system and cooled our cities through all that, and so that was fun. And so those were the first businesses that we actually developed, and those were back before I left that in 2008. And then after that, I started my own urban revitalization consulting firm, which we also worked on doing real estate development. That's Majora Carter Group. And then and as part of that, we weren't trying to develop anything. What we wanted to do was create the right kind of infrastructure, within the community so that a real commercial district could happen. Because right at that point in particular, there were the kind of third spaces that we knew we needed in the neighborhood. And we had also actually started a tech social enterprise called Startup Box, and we did quality assurance software testing, for New York City-based tech companies, and so that was right. Actually, where the Boogie Down Grind is located right now.
Oh, same location.
Yeah, okay. And so, but we also acquired a couple very cheap leases on the avenue as well, and our goal was to locate, other small businesses that we thought would add value, to the commercial area, because we did an enormous amount of research and understood that people were leaving our neighborhood and in order to experience, the kind of great things that were in other people's neighborhoods, whether it was cafes, bars, and restaurants, which would often lead to people going, why would I want to be in Hunts Point? And so they would literally leave and taking, again, their time and their talent and their treasure and investing it in somebody else's neighborhood. And we were like, so we need to think of ways to keep people in our own community. And people told us what they were leaving for. So we were like, how about we build that stuff here? And, or at least provide the infrastructure so it could be built here. So again, we used our credibility, and also at the time, our financial, state, background, statement and good credit. So I still got good credit. That's one thing I still got. So that other folks could benefit from it. So we got these very cheap leases, and we were hoping that someone would come forward and want to acquire one of these leases to build a cafe or anything like that. And the folks that did come forward, it was clear they would not be able to handle it, and so we were like, we'll do it. And then we had a joint venture partner in Birch Coffee, and we realized that we actually needed to make it much more of a South Bronx space that so that people would feel more connected to it, and that's when the Boogie Down Grind was born.
Yeah, and I will say it has been very beneficial to myself as well. I've met amazing people there.
I know.
Yeah, it definitely is what you say. I didn't even understand. Like, I didn't know the term third space at first. I first heard it from you. But yeah, I do see the value in it. It's invaluable because again, you're walking past people you never would have met or known that interested. Or you build apps, or you're into AI, or you. Yeah, it's great.
So when we realized that there was 3 people from Harvard, 2 of which didn't know each other, all from this neighborhood, within walking distance of each other, and they met at the cafe.
Wow.
And people were like, "There's no such thing as people who go to Harvard from here." Yes, there are.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm just so tired of hearing like we have nothing to offer the world. It's just like, we're already here. Stop acting like we got nothing to offer, or that we mostly to ourselves. And I find that really a challenging. I mean, it's just a hard thing to consistently see and hear, and also, but it's even harder, I think, that so many people actually believe it.
Because that perception frames that reality in that person's mind. Yeah, and it's
bingo.
Ironically, this area of the Bronx is one of the largest, food producers?
We're I think the second largest food distribution center in the world. The biggest one is in France.
And it's so, for it to be so economically, like stimulated in a part, but then still that systematic poverty in another part is, that irony, that imbalance is crazy.
It is rather ironic that we have that multi-billion-dollar economic engine in the community. But again, to my point earlier, all of that, the value there, I'm not sure if there are any locally owned businesses that are there.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, like the delis and some of the small businesses around here absolutely go down there and get their food from it to sell.
Yeah.
But it's much of that money, most of it just circulates right out of these communities into the families and the parent companies that own the businesses that are down there.
Yeah.
So again, it just supports the point of like, what are we doing to actually keep local businesses here and help them to thrive, in support of the folks that are already in the community.
And so currently, are you consulting other people on this same formula, the same system to replicate? What is it that you're keeping yourself occupied with now?
I speak around the country, nationally, to talk about these kind of things. I'm trying to get New York City to pay attention to some of the things that we have already been doing, and support it even further, because I know that, frankly, our ideas are a lot better than many of the ones that keep getting supported to be done around here. So I'm hopeful that we're going to see some different things, which is great. But we're still, straight in the development world right now. And so we've got a plan using Bronxlandia, which is where we are right now, which is a sort of the first phase for a larger transit-oriented development that we're proposing, for this area, because we're getting, regional rail through Metro North coming literally right to Hunts Point, which gives us an opportunity to be at Penn Station, in 15 minutes. So we're looking first at a project that will, when it's all said and done, and we actually go through all the channels to allow that much housing and development in this area, literally, which is sort of where we're sitting. We're talking about 1,000 units of brand new housing, not displacing any current housing, including, hundreds of units of home ownership, right? And rentals as well. But also, we're talking hundreds of thousands of square feet, for the kind of economic growth drivers that we know are coming, that are already in New York City and need more support. So whether it's technology, life sciences, green economy, why are we not looking at this area as a place to help make that happen? And also hotels, because New York City we need more hotel rooms. And right now we're losing, that kind of great economic development that doesn't overtax our systems, whether it's education or healthcare, parking or whatever, we lose that to the economic impact of hotels to Jersey, to Long Island, because we're pretty much at capacity in terms of the hotels that we have right now. We're going to be needing more, and we want to see the Bronx, because this will be a transit-oriented development with the rail station right here, and LaGuardia, also 15 minutes away from here. We could be doing some really awesome stuff. So just imagine, having some, people either flying or taking the train, up here, from wherever they're coming from, staying at a hotel here, frequenting some of the really cool spots that we're planning on building here and already here, like Bronxlandia in particular. But there are other places too, Inspiration Point, Bronx Arts Center, etc. We've got culture here. Why not create that as a district as well? But having those people come up here but then also go down to the theater district in 15 minutes, not having to deal with a car or traffic, none of that. And just getting on a train literally right outside the door of their hotel and going down. And again, dropping their money here, building jobs here so that we could benefit, and then they go home. Don't be taxing our services.
Right.
You don't need that.
And so how would you want people to reach out to you, right? How would you want people to connect with you, and so you can benefit them and share that value?
Oh, they can definitely come through our website, MajoraCarterGroup.com, either or through Bronxlandia. If you want to contact us on Instagram, either Bronxlandia, at Bronxlandia or at Boogie Down Grind, and we get all that information. Leave your contact information, and because we do need just regular folks to see, understand the value of this kind of work and tell us about it, because we need to tell, whether it's our elected officials, or policymakers and each other, that this is an important thing for us to be doing, as a community and as people who love our community, because we've never had this kind of opportunity before. With this, in particular, with this rail station.
Yeah, that's going to make a big difference.
It's going to be big, and it could walk right by us if we're not planning for it. People don't plan to fail; they fail to plan. And honestly, I'm seeing that happen right now. And let me give you an example. So the Bronx is getting 4 different stations, rail stations, which is great. And the other 3, the powers that be were just we're going to do, a rezoning, a land use plan that because they were all kind of zoned for manufacturing, the same way this one is here, and so that we can build housing and new economic development. They did not do that for Hunts Point.
Wow.
So we have to be the ones out there pushing to make sure that they look at us that way, and that we get the right kind of land use classification that allows us to build a kind of community that we know we deserve. But unless people are out there going, yo, that's what we need, and telling the people who are in opposition of it right now, I guarantee you everything this will stay the same.
Wow, that's very informative too. Again, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know just about these things. Even I'm sure wherever you're located, whatever community you're in, I'm sure there's changes that need to be made, oppression that's happening, systematic poverty. But I'm hoping this gives you insight on how you can make a difference, and also reach out to Majora, because she can be that guiding light for you, and because you've been through so much of it yourself. That's why I was saying, how does someone even go about this? Because a lot of people don't know about it.
You just keep talking to your neighbors and stop believing, the hype that there's something wrong with our communities. And I think that's the seduction of white supremacy, that somehow or another, just by being born who we are and the communities that we were born in, that there is something wrong with us. And we apply that thinking to each other real quick. We eat our young. I've noticed, because I've still got bite marks, from folks who have and these are people who you would think would be our friends and allies. But again, if we keep listening to this idea that we're not worthy, and that there's only a few of us that can actually can do well, they win. I'm not trying to go to my grave and let white supremacy beat me, because I know no. I'm not about that life.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, that's a corrupt mindset in a sense, to believe something is wrong with you.
Yeah.
And now, I
people who
get,
look like you.
and now I get why that these community discrepancies happen. You were like, oh, that's an actual insult against me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Like people will look at I feel like there's a German phrase called Schadenfreude, and it means that your success is my failure. So if you believe that just because someone else has some success that you failed,
like someone has to win in order for someone else to lose.
Yeah. Like I'm like, I'm not about that.
Wow.
I'm like, my job is to make sure more of us win.
Like win-win. Yeah.
And it's by being very deliberate and understanding what was happening in the past to make it feel like we all lost. Because we did lose. We 100% lost. Yeah, every time one of us decided that we weren't going to like be in our communities and we were going to go take our time, talent, and treasure somebody else, we lost a little part of our own communities.
Yeah. But we lost the battle, we didn't lose the war.
Amen.
Right?
So that's why we're still here.
It's not over till it's over.
We're still here.
So there's always a way, right? There's always a way. I believe that.
Amen.
But thank you so
My
much.
pleasure.
Thank you for your time. And again, this was enlightening. Reach out to Majora for this insight, for this
Peace.
guidance, for this consultancy, and peace.